Hello, this is Todd Luck, and because we could all use a cowboy in our life, Rio Blast is coming to Masters of the Universe Origins in January. He will be up for pre order on January 6th at 9 a.m. Pacific time, and that's going to be noon on the East Coast. And he'll be available exclusively on MattelCreations.com. Okay, so I'm going to work backwards here. This is the Origins figure. This is the new one that you can order. And so he has all of his weapons out. This is him on display at a show. And I promise you there is an action figure underneath all of those guns. And so I'm going to show you his vintage toys so you get a better idea of what the action figure looks like when he's not all decked out with his weapons. And so here is the vintage Rio Blast as he appeared on his original card back. And here's Rio outside of the packaging. He is a space cowboy and he's a cyborg, so he has all these guns inside of him that he can pull out at any time to get the drop on the bad guys. And here's the card art for the original figure, just kind of illustrating his action feature. So this is one of those action figures that went through a lot of different concept art, a lot of different ideas about exactly what this space cowboy with all these weapons would look like. And some of the artwork is very different than the one we got. In fact, there is an iteration of the character who was actually going to be a villain. And it was decked out in a very similar way. And most likely that concept art ended up becoming General Blast in the She-Ra cartoon, who was a Horde lieutenant who had pretty much the same ability to pull out guns from his cybernetic body that Rio Blast did, but Rio Blast himself never appeared in the Filmation cartoon. He did have some brief appearances in the Masters of the Universe Revolution cartoon that came out last year, and he appeared with Snout Spout, which was appropriate because Rio Blast had a memorable appearance in Masters of the Universe issue 4 by Marvel Star Comics. And in that issue, Rio Blast was shown as being Snout Spout's partner, and that relationship always stuck with me in my head whenever I thought about those characters. And he was shown as having a fear of snakes, which is unfortunate for him because he ended up fighting the Snake Men in this issue. And of course, King Hiss in particular can be a little bit freaky if you're not fond of snakes. The vintage Rio Blast figure also had a very memorable mini-comic that came with it, The Fastest Draw in the Universe. This was by Stephen Grant and Mike Vosberg. And so in this comic, Rio Blast is a cowboy who is literally herding the cattle of Eternia and guarding them from Skeletor's minions who are trying to attack it to disrupt the food supply of the planet. It also had these lizard men that were helping Cobra Khan, which was kind of interesting. And we found out that Rio Blast literally made the hottest chili in the universe, which was kind of fun. And he did have several appearances in the Masters of the Universe comics in the UK in the 80s. Unfortunately, us Americans still don't have access to those comics, and I'd love to see a collection of them come out at some point. And he was one of those characters that came out later in the line, but he still appeared on merchandise like this wrapping paper here. So in the 80s, I don't think we ever got an explanation of why there was a cyborg cowboy on Eternia, but his official backstory was that he was the sole survivor of explorers in a star band near Eternia where he became the law, and then something happens and he ends up stranded on Eternia, and He-Man promises to help him get home, and in the meantime, of course, he's helping out He-Man fight Skeletor and Hordak and all that. A few years ago, he did get a Masters of the Universe Classics figure. This is on the 7-inch scale. This was a collectible figure put out by Matty Collector. And to my knowledge, this is the only other figure that he's gotten other than his vintage figure. Until January, of course, when we get our new Masters of the Universe Origins Rio Blast. And so again, he is going up for pre-order on January 6th at 9 a.m. Pacific time, noon Eastern time. So he is a character from late in the line, and he does have a very different look than anything else in the line. But I've always loved this figure. I used to have him, and I lost him somehow, and I am super looking forward to getting him back in my collection. I love the diversity of characters in Masters of the Universe, and I love the fact that Eternia is a place where anything can happen. And I'm sure I'm not the only one, so be sure to get in there as soon as you can on January 6th and get your pre-order in because Masters Universe Origins figures do tend to sell out. And since it's December, I just wanted to say how grateful I am for every single vintage figure that we've gotten from Mattel Creations, whether that was the ones that were expensive to produce because they have a ton of unique sculpting and difficult to engineer action features like Rock-On, Cyclone, and Extendar, or the extra 2 characters we got that were a little cheaper to produce but were figures that I've been wanting for years, Geldor and Demo Man. Every single one of these 5 figures was a dream come true that I never thought I would see when Masters of the Universe Origins began. And Rio Blast is continuing that trend to start off 2025. And Mattel has told us what's coming next year for Cartoon Collection and Turtles of Grayskull, both of which are available at retail and you can pre-order now, but hasn't let us know what is coming beyond Rio Blast for the vintage collection on Mattel Creations. Other than there was a mention that Two-Band had been sculpted, so I do expect to see him in 2025. But other than that, I'm just looking forward to seeing what they're going to give us for Masters of the Universe Origins. All right, guys, like and subscribe for more videos. And until next time, good journey.